Andrea Adelson. I'm the editor of the Laguna Beach Independent. I'm here with Bill Lancito. He is a school board member, and he's currently seeking re-election. So we're here to ask a few questions. So Bill, tell us why you're here, why you're running for office, and what brought you to office. What were the circumstances that led to your getting appointed?
Okay, well, first I was appointed in 2006. And that happened because Kay Turner, who was a former school board member, passed away during her term in office. And some of you may have seen the Kay Turner library, which is named after her. Anyway, she was a great lady. So I had seen this in the paper, and there was an advertisement that said, we would like to have a temporary 6-month replacement. But because of some political things that were going on at the time, they wanted someone who would agree not to run the next term. Because if you were appointed, then became the incumbent, it would give you a tremendous advantage, right? At least that was the theory. So I did that, kept my word, ran. I was there appointed 6 months, and then when the next 2 years passed, they actually, a couple people at the school board said, Bill, why don't you consider running? Mm-hmm. And I said, you know what, I really enjoyed it. I liked the fact that I was able to use my legal background and my background as an educator, and I have 2 kids in the school, so I had a selfish interest too.
Sure.
So that was basically how it happened.
So what is it about the job, the task, that appeals to you? Why do you like devoting your time to it? Okay, well,
number one, it's not the money because there's no money. So you do this because you want to do this. And it takes a big commitment. When school's in like this and we're doing work with School Power and we're meeting with the city and all these committees that you have to be on, it's about 20, 30 hours per week. So you do it because you love it. And I've always been interested in education. My wife is a principal at a high school, Godinez, in Santa Ana. I taught for years at Long Beach City College and in a private law school, Pacific Coast University, for maybe 11 years. So teaching was always part of my life. And public service was always part of my life. I was a government employee 30 years. And I said, you know, this sounds like an opportunity that I would like. And when I got in, I realized I really liked it because I felt I made a real difference in the education of not just my kids, but of all people's kids. And it was something I was just naturally drawn to.
So is there a project that you intend to champion as a school board member if you are reelected?
Yes, there's several I've been working on. Number one was I will always support class size reduction. We're not going to cut that. And I even had a very frank with the teachers union who supported me. Both the classified and the certificate units have endorsed me. But I had a question that says, what's going to happen if we have a real bad situation? I said, look, I'm going to be honest. This is not good for politicians, but I'm going to do it. 90% of our budget is salaries and benefits.
Right.
We can't put kids last. We put kids first. So at some point, I said, if it gets bad, we'll have to come to the table. But it'll be the same way we always have talked to our teachers and our certificated staff. We're going to say, let's sit together, let's talk, and respectfully figure out how to fix it.
Bill, I was forwarded something on your website that was from last week that I was surprised at. It talked about the district being attacked by highly funded single-issue candidates. That we have special interest groups who have combined forces. They have a secret agenda. They're on a funding an attack on the school district. They said that they have pushed the district to use their businesses to provide services for the district. You say this is illegal and unethical. Frankly, I was surprised at the harsh language and the allegations. Why, and yet it has since been removed from your website. Mm-hmm. What was this about, and why has it been taken down?
And maybe the language was too harsh, but I did want to wake people up to the fact a lot of times in a school board election, people will not pay attention. If you ask a lot of people in the community who's on the school board, they couldn't tell you. And not that many people do have, inside information as to what really happens versus what's going to happen if certain candidates are elected. I said before, and I will repeat today, my candidates, the opposing candidates, are single-issue candidates. They have a particular reason while they're running, and it is not to put kids first, which is my reason for being here. I feel that they represent a small group of very unhappy folks where they asked for a certain agenda to be done, and we said no. And at some point in life, when you ask for something and repeatedly the answer is no, and there were good reasons for no, I think you have to accept the fact that it just can't be done. And I'll give you an example. We have a small group of people, and they're good people. These are not horrible people. But they wanted to put in an outdoor classroom and a garden. Mm-hmm. That's not a bad idea. I liked it. I supported it initially as I was looking at it. But they went so far without even talking to the district to come forth with a very elaborate plan. They had the architectural plan drawn up for us before we saw it, and it was a $300,000 estimate. Well, as we looked at it, it became a $500,000 project, because realistically, when a school does something, we must go through a process of approvals and all this. And we were trying to hint to them as we did, because it was just a small group, but they're an important group, and they're people, many of them are friends of mine. But they got the feeling that this was an absolute priority, and they were very upset when the district said, the superintendent said, and we backed her, that it wasn't a priority at this time because it's too expensive. I don't know if you know, but school funding doesn't cover, the money that comes in every year, whether it be revenue limit or basic aid, doesn't cover construction. If you want to build a school, you have to have money somewhere else. There has to be a Mello-Roos, there has to be a school bond. Mm-hmm. We've already done school bonds, can't come back for that. Or the money has to come from somewhere else. It can't come out of the general fund. Mm-hmm. But they pushed this idea, and they just didn't want to take no. And again, they're good people. I love to do it. I have a friend, she called me, Bill, why can't we do this? It's not that we can't do it. It's just not a priority. We can't fund a construction project for $500,000.
I thought there was private funding for this.
$25,000 was raised of the potential $500,000 cost. That would have covered the little garden they wanted, which I don't think was a controversial issue at all. But when they tacked on the outdoor classroom, we said to them, number one, it's redundant because we have the amphitheater at Thurston, which is basically an outdoor classroom. What this classroom was different. Well, it was laid out differently, and it was beautifully designed. It was a fabulous thing. It didn't, unfortunately, have teacher support. Only 4 of the teachers at Thurston said they would use it or want it. The other teachers said it wouldn't be used. Mm-hmm. The amphitheater is barely used. If we had a big year, if it was a great year, and there's money in little buckets everywhere, it would be a fine idea. Well, we can't do it right now. It's not a priority. We would have to do something like increase class size, give up class size reduction to do it. That trade-off, most parents would never want that.
And no, they wouldn't agree to that. I think the issue, and forgive me if I'm wrong about this, mm-hmm. I think it's mostly a matter of parent initiative mm-hmm. and the administration being responsive to parent initiative. And I think that was what stuck in people's craw, that it was dismissed out of hand. And as have some other initiatives that have been also parent-driven.
Right.
I think that the lack of responsiveness is what some of these candidates seem to be bringing to the table.
They're bringing it to the table, but unfortunately, that's not true. I go to school, I go to all the PTA meetings. I'm sitting right there with the same people who are advocating. We talk at and after the meeting. Shireen is there. Everybody on the school board goes to the meetings. And I say, well, where's the transparency? We're sitting there talking to each other, and we're saying we can't do it, but they're saying we must do it. And again, I like these people. These aren't bad people. There's no evil motivation with them. It's that at some point Shireen had to say no. That's what makes her a great woman and a great superintendent. If you know the history of who she is, she can be tough. Maybe she and maybe I should have communicated better. I'll take the fault if that's true. But at some point, if the school board says and the superintendent says we can't afford this, maybe another year, but folks just say no, I won't take a no for an answer. I don't think that's a lack of transparency. I see it as an unwillingness to accept these are tough times, that the money's not here, and it's just not a priority. It's a wonderful idea, but it's not. You can't substitute for class size reduction. Right. I wouldn't want to lay an employee off to do it. When you're in the school board itself making these decisions and looking at the global budget, you have to say, what's the priority? And really, it's the superintendent who sets it, but I totally support her here. We can't increase class size to build. And again, we can't get building funds. They're just not out there.
I wish you luck with your campaign.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks for being here.